Hey, welcome to The Explainer, where we try to make sense of some pretty big ideas. Today we're diving into this really cool AI technique, one that solves problems by, get this, borrowing a page from nature's oldest playbook.
All right, so let's just jump right in with a puzzle. Look at this thing. It's an antenna designed for a NASA mission, and it's supposedly super effective. But look at the shape. It's just bizarre, right? Almost alien. I mean, that doesn't look like anything a human engineer would normally come up with. So the question is, what created it?
Well, here's the crazy part. It wasn't designed, not in the way we think about design anyway. It was evolved. A computer, basically mimicking natural selection, grew this design over thousands and thousands of generations until it became the absolute perfect tool for its job. Yeah, this mind-bending way of solving problems, it's a whole field of AI called genetic algorithms.
So, what exactly is a genetic algorithm? Well, think about it this way. Instead of a brilliant engineer trying to design the perfect solution from scratch, a GA does the opposite. It starts with a whole bunch of random, and usually pretty terrible, solutions. Then it uses the rules of evolution, survival of the fittest, to breed better and better answers over time. Okay, that sounds awesome in theory, but how do you actually do that? How do you teach a computer to think like Mother Nature? I mean, how do you write code for survival? Turns out, it all boils down to a four-step process. And to make this super clear, we're going to walk through it using a classic puzzle, the 8 queens problem. The goal here is simple, but tricky. You got to place 8 chess queens on a board so that none of them can attack each other. Easy, right? Okay, step 1 is what we call representation. Basically, we need a way to describe a possible solution in a language the computer can actually read. This digital description, we call it a chromosome. And yeah, it acts just like biological DNA. It holds the blueprint for one single solution. So for our chess problem, the chromosome is just a string of numbers. Pretty simple. Each number tells you the row for a queen in a specific column. So a string like 32752411 isn't just random numbers. It's the unique DNA for one specific layout of queens on the board. And we call each of these unique layouts an individual.
All right, on to the next step. So, we've got our population of individuals, right? But let's be honest, most of them are probably awful solutions. So how does the algorithm figure out which ones have potential and which ones are just junk?
That's where the fitness function comes in. You can think of this as the survival test. It's basically a scoring system we design. It looks at each individual's DNA, that string of numbers, and spits out a score. And the rule is simple. The higher the score, the fitter, or better, that solution is.
For our 8 queens puzzle, the fitness score is simply the number of pairs of queens that are not attacking each other. A perfect board would get a score of 28. Now, if you look at our first random batch, none of them are perfect, but some are definitely better than others. See individual B, with a score of 24, it's the champ of this first generation. And here's where it gets cool. That fitness score isn't just a number. It directly determines an individual's chance to move on to the next step, which is selection. The algorithm basically turns each score into a probability. So our top performer, individual B, now has a 31% chance of being chosen to reproduce. Meanwhile, the weakest one, C, only has a 14% shot. A really common way to visualize this is with a roulette wheel. The fitter a solution is, the bigger its slice of the pie. Then you just spin the wheel, and whichever one it lands on gets to be a parent. It's a really elegant way to make sure that the best genes, the parts of the most successful solutions, are way more likely to get passed on to the next generation. Okay, so we've used our fitness test and spun the roulette wheel to pick our proud parents. Now it's time to actually create the next generation of solutions, the offspring. And this happens through 2 key methods that are pulled straight from real-world genetics: crossover and mutation. These 2 things are pretty much the engines of evolution in our digital world. Crossover is pretty much what it sounds like. You take 2 successful parent solutions, you pick a random spot in their DNA strings, and you just swap the rest of the code. The idea, or the hope really, is that by mixing and matching the good parts from 2 decent parents, you might just create an even better child. And then there's mutation. This is just a tiny random tweak to a solution's DNA. It doesn't happen very often, but it is so important. Mutation throws new genetic material into the mix, which stops the whole population from getting stuck on a solution that's just good enough. It allows for those sudden, unexpected breakthroughs. So there you have it. That's the complete loop.
Representation, fitness, selection, and reproduction. You just repeat that cycle over and over and over. And when you let this process run, whether it's on a simple chessboard or a crazy complex engineering problem, something truly amazing starts to happen.
You can see it right here. It all starts with this total mess of random solutions on the left. The algorithm tests them, picks the best ones to be parents, and then combines their DNA through crossover and mutation to make a new generation. And this new group is, on average, just a little bit better than the last one. Do that thousands of times, and the solutions can't help but evolve, getting better and better, closer and closer to the perfect answer.
So why is this such a big deal? What makes this so powerful? Well, it's because genetic algorithms are tailor-made for a special kind of problem, these massive, complex optimization challenges. We're talking about problems where the number of possible answers is just astronomically huge, and there's no simple formula to find the best one. GAs don't just march down a single path. They search the entire landscape of possibilities all at once. And because of that, they find these creative, hyper-optimized solutions that a human designer might never, ever think of.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with this weird-looking NASA antenna. That totally unconventional shape isn't weird for the sake of being weird. It's the direct result of a digital survival of the fittest, where the only thing that mattered was performance. The algorithm couldn't care less what it looked like. It only cared about what worked best.
And this technique goes way beyond just engineering. It's used in finance to evolve trading strategies, in game design to create balanced characters. It's even used in art. What you're looking at here is an algorithm that literally started with just random shapes and evolved them over hundreds of thousands of generations to slowly but surely recreate the Mona Lisa. How wild is that?
It really leaves you with a fascinating thought, doesn't it? We've managed to take one of the most powerful forces in the entire universe, evolution itself, and we've basically put it in a box to solve our problems for us. So as our computers get more and more powerful, you have to wonder, what are the limits? What impossible problems are we going to evolve a solution for next?